can't even find the microphone.
Right.
Oh,
What's that one then?
Start working.
Oh,
I think it's this though.
no, that's off now.
Yeah, so just using your
Oh, we've got any. We're not sure what microphone we're using, but we're using a microphone. Okay then. Right then. So now, if I go to where's it gone? Show the mouse. Webcam. Now we've got a webcam. Oh, webcam's gone off again. And off again. Then turn that on, and now we got. Oh, look at this. We got sound.
Yeah, from somewhere we don't know where.
And we got this. Yes. Please let us know. I heard something. Right. So it looks like the microphone's working so far. Yes, we're back. Hey, I'm not sure what microphone we're using. So it could sound really bad. Sorry if it does. I don't think it's my main microphone, but as long as we've got sound, I don't care. So, anyway, we're running late. But we just, as you saw, Phil just made it in time. Can you turn the sound off now?
No, that's it. We're very quiet. That's the only
Right,
thing.
that doesn't matter. I can sort that out.
I'm just saying we're very quiet on mine.
Oh,
So
you'll be okay. I think we're okay on there.
you sure? Okay.
Yes.
Well, as long as you.
Let us know. Sound is very low. Okay then. What I'm going to go in. Here we go. Brace yourselves. I'm going to try to
Sound up if we can. We don't even know which microphone we're on. We're definitely not on our usual one. We think we're picking up on the laptop microphone.
Right, what are we doing there? Are we loud enough now? What do you think? Phil's going to turn our computer on a minute.
Just wait a sec. On the laptop microphone.
Right. All right, what are we doing there?
That's better.
Is that okay now? Turn our computer on a minute. Sound is fine.
Yeah, that's better.
Brilliant. There we go. We just peaked it a bit, so I'll leave it as it is.
Sorry for the hollow sound. We think that Timbo's managed to get us on the laptop microphone somehow. So whatever it is, we've got volume.
Yes, you can matters.
That'll teach you to do the top three first. Look, Caroline was all organised. For those who didn't hear anything, which is all of you except me. Caroline said, well, we're not going to waste time now. We're going to go straight for the top three. And
I know Jason S. Jason was you was first in, so brilliant. I think that's all well done.
there you go.
Creative, I think, was second. Yes.
Next.
Oh, you've got it on yours. That's not fair. I haven't got it on mine. And who's third in?
Anne.
And well
So
done.
there.
Now good next.
There we go. So it's
Very keen to
Jason, Ed and Anne were the first three in.
Thank you for joining us.
And there are 34 with us, which is excellent considering all that we've just been through. In the
People have given up the will to live and they've gone to watch TV.
yeah, but
We got them at the end.
we're 37 now. They're all coming back in. They found us. They found us.
We're impressed. I'm impressed.
Yeah, Caroline found a link that said we could restart us because in the past, if we've ever had to do that and shut down and restart, we've had to go into a new stream altogether. But we've managed to avoid that, so hopefully we haven't lost anybody.
Right.
Oh.
This because we don't know where the sound's coming from. We
I
might be sending.
I blame the eclipse.
Yes, blame the eclipse.
Yeah, I'm going to blame the eclipse. I think we've had an eclipse in our office. I know the sun and the moon and neither of them are out there, but something's gone wrong. We're here.
We won't be more with our
No.
problems with technology. We could go on all day.
But there has been a disaster at the HQ because I have searched high and low, and when preparing the finds for tonight,
You lost something.
teapot. I know it's here. I've seen it.
Phil's probably put it away safe because he didn't see it damage. He probably thought I'll put it somewhere really safe.
This is the only problem
tell.
with doing a trip away and then spacing the videos over 3 months.
You have no idea where it is, do you?
Because when you think it's late spring and we're showing videos of ice in bottles, and we filmed it in January. You know, we'll be doing another visit up to Blinking Yorkshire before we get these Yorkshire ones done. But like I say, it's gone. We do have some finds,
We do.
which we will share with you tonight.
Why don't we start with the question because I've got something to show you. I have actually got myself together enough to make a jingle. Are you impressed?
Do you want to see the new question jingle, everyone? Would you like to see the new question jingle? Here we go.
Just a second, because I'm on. There we go. it down a bit for you as well. It seemed a bit loud.
Yeah, how impressive is that, eh? A question time jingle. Caroline's been working on it. The thing was, Caroline's like, I'm going to get all the jingles ready. We're going to be professional tonight. And for the first time in about 6 weeks, we end up with miming the camera.
Try not to anymore.
Question number 1. Are you all ready, folks, to give me your answers? Now, I made reference on this trip, and so did Caroline, to a terrarium. Because often we find jars, bottles, where nature has decided inside the bottle or jar would be a nice place to plant a garden. And I brought over a bottle, and you found a rather nice jar full of moss and things growing.
Systems there,
And we often come across these. We never bring them home, obviously, because they are happy where they are. But it's just the first time I've decided to use one for the purpose of a question. Because in 1960, a gentleman by the name of David Latimer decided to grow a sealed glass bottle terrarium. Now, mine was open at one end. He sealed it. He never imagined that it would grow into a research study and be dubbed the world's oldest terrarium. My question is this: when was the last time his bottle garden was watered? When was the last time somebody opened the bottle and added water? He created it in 1960. Do you think the last time they watered it was 1972, 1992, or 2012?
No.
Okay, so if you think it's been 52 years since they watered it, that's A. If you think it was only 32 years since they watered it, that's B. If you think the last time it was watered was 12 years ago, that's C.
Ooh, lots of answers.
Okay, so do you think it's 1972 that they last watered it? Because he actually created it in 1960. Do you think it was 1992 or C, 2012?
And they go far away portal just in case it ever goes wrong. We do still have the analog version.
Right. Well, we've got lots and lots of people joining in.
Yes, we do.
Fantastic. Great.
There's a bit of everything, but I think something's standing out a bit more than everything else. Possibly.
There's a variety.
It's getting more jumbled up now, isn't it?
Yeah, but we do have correct answers, which means we are going to fill all 3 podiums.
We are.
It's always a relief on a question like this. But I tell you what, I already know that when we get to the last question tonight, I've got a sense there's going to be some area of dispute because of references already made in previous comments.
Stop giggling, Mankey.
He loves winding us all up. Okay then, folks. So, Mr. David Latimer gets his big bottle, big round bottle, with a cork in the top, puts some earth in, puts some water in, puts some plants in. He took the top off in 1972, added some water, put the top back on, and nothing has been done to it since. It's just sat in the sunlight in his lounge.
Perfect for the lazy gardener. For the busy gardener who hasn't got time.
Oh, we're looking for A. We're looking for 1972.
Yeah,
It hasn't been watered now for 52 years. A. First A in goes to Rachel Ramey. Second A in goes to Dan Fetters.
Well done, Dan.
And the third one goes to Ian Davis.
Well done, Ian.
And there is another A before we start to break up into other answers. And that was Rachel Bailey. Just put to the post. So, Rachel Bailey, Dan Fetters, and Ian Davis. You've got first, second, and third. 2 years, and it's still going strong. But, of course, no water has been added. That's why I had to be specific in saying no one has opened it and added water, because it has become a cycle of life, because the water that is in there can't escape.
No.
Then people say, but how does it get oxygen? But it does that through the natural process. It's trees that keep us alive. But when the leaves fall off the branches, off the plants, They rot. They create carbon dioxide, which the plant turns into oxygen. So you just get this full cycle going on. The whole of the
No, you
natural world. Yeah, there's a bike in there.
Is it?
There's a bike in there. He said the cycle. He said there's a cycle going on in there.
He knows what he's talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. So there's a man cycling inside a sealed bottle for 52 years. You wouldn't believe it, would you?
You wouldn't do it.
His name is David Latman. He's very small.
Yeah.
But there we go, folks. You heard it here.
I didn't say it. I have just started loading videos I took in January, so there we go. I'm running late. We're trying to get a bit of a backlog.
Well,
See, we're
that's the
cutting
thing.
mudlarks today as well. I don't know if you're the same as us, whether you're running by the seat of your pants with like 1 or 2 to go, whether you've actually got some in hand. We have
Well, we
posted
were
up
running.
until now.
We've got nothing in hand now.
No.
We've got
We did the best now.
got a bit more from London, and that's it. But what we've been doing is when we did that trip in January, we made 7 films, or the video footage for 7 films, so that when we came back, if we weren't able to get out, if the weather was bad or whatever, then we would have things that we could fill in with. Because in January we were down to 0. We had nothing. We were running every week, doing a show. Sometimes we were recording on Wednesday, editing on Thursday, and putting it out on Friday.
Yep.
So we did have those few to help us through. And of course, we've been able to visit some local dumps as well and different things in between, and our London trip. But no, we're back to square one. But it did mean we had icy water in a bottle.
We did. Do you want to see a bottle? What is a jar? It's a big jar. Look at the size on that. And I love that. I just love these big chunky jars. And I think this was a stopper jar because there's no, what do you call it? Thread on it. And you can see it's rather a lot of rust. But what I'm thinking of doing, I want to do some natural dyeing. And so one thing I want to do is make an iron dye bath. So I'm just going to put a lot of bits of iron in there and some water and a tiny bit of vinegar. Get them all really, really rusty and then use the water to dye woolen fabric. So that is going to be really good. And I just love it. It's just tactile. It's so big and the glass is thick. So that's what that's going to be used for. And I don't care about the rust. That'll actually probably add to the colour of what I'm dyeing. So very nice. I'm pleased with that. I'll tell you what, though, it's very heavy. Surprisingly heavy for a jar. Right.
Indeed.
Right. Do you want to do a find or should we have another question?
I will sure find. And that's something quite familiar. But on this occasion, because it was in rather good nick, little crack, as Caroline mentioned on the film, little crack, so it may give way sooner or later. A useful size. We've got a few of these around the place that we use for pens, paintbrushes, and such like, screwdrivers, all manner of things that you just need to grab quickly. That's just a good size to put a few things in, and it's not too big and cumbersome or too tall. So that came on with this because, like Caroline's big jar, it has a practical use. These days, it either has to be stunning, irresistible, or practical, because I have so much stuff here to sort through. Adding to that stuff, I've got to be careful.
Yes.
That's the best way to put it. Still, I'm losing things now at a good rate, so that's helping. I've lost my teapot.
Phil says that I shouldn't have any problems finding some rusty items around this shed. She's right.
I do have occasional rusty items.
Yes, he does have. Well, you've seen.
I
It's
do.
not 1 or 2. It's more like 30 or 40 rusty items.
I did sort some out.
You did.
I did sort of few.
Tell.
I did sort of few. I still can't get in.
Everything around him.
I
Yeah.
still can't get in. When I film from the shed, it is an artwork to get in there because it is somewhat full of stuff.
Yes.
How's the chat going here?
Everything's fine over in the chat. Somebody was asking, they got it right, could they have a negative gold medal? I think it was Lee's, was it? Yes, it was Lee's. Go on then, you can have a negative gold medal unless, where's it gone? Rachel Remy makes you an aluminium foil one, in which case you will have one then.
Tina Thompson says, I do the same, I have them everywhere. They are a useful size pot.
They are, they're really handy.
And they don't look out of the place, you know, they because they've got that sense of age. We've got a pot up there that we found, which,
Okay, now.
can you reach it over there? which only got left behind for one reason, and that is
Ventilation.
when they hit the pick into the ground, obviously they popped a hole in the pot. So I thought, oh, it's a shame, that's no good. And I came along and thought, nothing wrong with that if you turn it around.
That's right, so we use it.
So we actually have that on the shelf and we use it here in the office. Because, as I say, if it can be used, then that's one reason to keep it. If it's something of great interest to you and you just like it so much you can't walk away, as Caroline says, we make the decision now. We've got limited space in the park, we've got limited space in the house.
And there's
Which-
no space in the shed.
What goes and what stays? And the teapot came home and took a big chunk of space, and I can't find the bally thing.
I know.
It's worrying. It's worrying.
But should we have another question?
Do you want to go question? Yeah, I can do
Yeah,
a
another
question
question.
by all means. Okay. This question is with regards to a bottle again. Another bottle that didn't come home with us. Because that question was terrarium based on the bottle that we found. This one is Tizer based. Because we found our cracking Tizer bottle with a crisscross pattern and the word. Here's your question. Tizer was first marketed 100 years ago. Which city is linked to the origin of this fizzy drink? Was it A, Manchester, B, Leeds, or C, Glasgow?
Right, I don't know if you can hear the
You
picture.
can say go.
Go, go, but I'm gonna have to shut down a minute because my camera's gone again. Sorry, back in a minute. There we go. So we should
we have a
be
volume, we have
back
volume,
on.
we have a picture.
There we go. So
Yeah,
is
and we've got
everything
lots
still
of
going
answers
through the
coming in.
chat?
Yeah, there we go. I can see movement. I can see movement. Ha ha! There we are.
Oh, and I've got my chat back as well. Oh,
Yeah, there we go. Right, we've got the answers in, and we've picture is frozen, sound okay, but
Yeah.
now that was before you
yeah,
did.
we're okay now.
We're right,
Yeah,
we're right, right. Okay, well, see, we got the question out in time, and we got the go out, so people have answered, and now we can tell you who got it right. Because the question was, which of these cities was linked to the origins of the fizzy drink Tizer? Was it Manchester, Leeds, or Glasgow? Right.
Beata said I didn't hear the question. I pressed something. It'd be funny if you first.
Right then. So, this is interesting.
Oh.
Very interesting.
Why is
Oh,
it interesting then?
It's okay. We have got correct
Yes,
answers.
all good.
It's just the first four weren't. Right. Now, the first four answers weren't correct because West Country Mudlarks went with Leeds, which I can understand since we found it up to Yorkshire. Then Mike went with Glasgow, and I snuck that one in because they've been bought out by bars in the 1970s who
Oh.
make iron brew.
Mm.
So that adds to the confusion. Lisa went with Leeds, Dan Feder went with Leeds, but Rachel Bailey goes Manchester.
Well done, Rachel.
So that was correct. Next correct answer, Laura Sully's Creations.
Well done, Laura.
And the next one was Anne Goodwin,
Well done, Anne.
immediately followed by Jason.
Well done, Jason.
So you can share a podium.
Yes, both the same one.
Oh, there we go. So
Well done, Anne.
sticking to the rules, we're going Rachel Bailey, Laura Sully's Creations, and Anne Goodwin. It was Manchester.
Random.
Yes, the gentleman who came up with the recipe and invented Tizer did so 100 years ago in 1924, and he based the whole of the business in his home area of Manchester, and that's where the origins were linked to.
There we go.
But as I say,
Water.
no, I might. As I say, there was a little bit of thinking in my other answers because they were bought out by bars in 1970s. Yeah, I'm just joking. I'll be back now. They were bought out by bars who own Iron Brew, so that confuses people with the Scottish connection, and obviously Leeds is a Yorkshire city, so that would confuse people with the Yorkshire connection. It was in Manchester, Lancashire connection.
Right, so now moving on really quickly because we're going to try to be on time tonight because we've had so many problems. I'm going to give us some happy news. Now,
Oh.
brace yourself.
Come in, jingle.
Could be a bit loud when he starts, and I'll turn it down if it is. There we go. You've got a happy news jingle. Police go the extra mile. It would have been difficult to summarise the sense of surprise that homeowner Joe and his family felt when Florida police officers arrived carrying bags of produce and groceries. The story made national news on Fox 35 Orlando when on March the 26th the two police officers went above and beyond to finish the job that the man they had just arrested was carrying out. The suspect was wanted on felony charges both in Florida and Texas when officers who spotted his plate numbers pulled him over and confirmed his identity. But they also noticed a large delivery order in the car. Having finished the protect part of the job, they switched over to the serve part of the job. Arriving at the house, the policewoman rang the doorbell and video captured by the Ring camera on the door and shared on social media shocked her with a smile on her face while waiting for an answer. Joe said, "My dad was a police officer when I was growing up, so I have the utmost respect for them. So when I saw that, it was wonderful to see. So they delivered what he was supposed to be delivered."
Yeah, the guy they arrested was making a delivery.
Yeah, so
they took him off to the station and they took the shop in and delivered it for him.
What's going on? Some police knock the door and it turns out they're bringing you groceries or something. It doesn't say what they were ordering. Could
No,
have been fast food, could have been groceries.
could have been, but there was an order in the back of the car. It says a large order. So,
It depends who they are. I mean,
Yeah.
we can all do a large takeaway order if we want to.
but I just thought it was nice because, you know, so often we deal with situations in life where people go very much to, that's not my job, or, you know, that kind of attitude, you know, they just won't go that little bit extra just to help. But these officers obviously went that little bit extra, realised that someone was going to be without their delivery, and decided, well, let's get this chap processed and then we'll take the delivery over.
Yep.
Which I'm sure doesn't happen every time. Yeah, this time.
That's really nice, really thoughtful of them.
It made it to the news.
Find, another find. Find.
You're going to do another thing.
I'm going to show you my van.
Rolling through.
And I love this. I know his head and shoulders and one arm are missing, but I just love it. I've never seen a terracotta model like this. If you look at the back, the detail on, you can see his coat there, and you can see the little bits on the back there, just about, and the pieces. I just think that is really nice. If you've got the trousers and the shoes, and the umbrella is quite something, I think. Where's it gone? I'll show you there. Look at that. So yes, if it had been whole, it would have been absolutely wonderful. But I just love it because, as I say, I've never seen anything. Have you seen a terracotta model which would probably be about that tall? He would have a hat on as
He
well.
had a hat,
His
yeah.
shoulders there, and then his
If
head.
he had
in
a
the
top
hat.
hat, he'd be up to about
10 inches.
possibly a foot.
Could be. So it's quite a substantial lump. And
To be
terracotta.
left in terracotta seems quite. We use terracotta in the garden. It's not big enough for your garden ornament. That was obviously.
Modern one, but I don't know. What do you reckon? Have you seen one like this? Do you think it's a modern one? Elise Warren said it looks like the lower half of a male Mary Poppins. It does actually, doesn't it? I think it's the umbrella gives us that sort of visual image.
His fingers and everything are very precise, aren't they? They're very.
Rachel said put a plant growing out of it.
Yeah. And it did have those letters inside, which could be 1300, or and there could be a date underneath.
Well, Lexi said, how good are my sculpting skills? I can answer that in one word. Terrible.
You just see the numbers if anybody has any clue.
Can I do this?
There we go, job done.
It's a creepy Halloween.
Halloween
weekend.
weekend.
So that doesn't work, does it? Yeah, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I did fancy the idea of trying to make something ahead, but I really cannot sculpt. It's not a case of I don't do it well. I cannot. I've tried. I'm useless. So
If we had a fire, then you could stand it by the side of the fire and put spills in it, so, you know, firelight in.
it's like you think, oh, we could cut it off as a vase, but it's a shame to lose the shoulder because this
Oh yeah, you got to keep
makes
the
it.
arm.
I think that gives the what it
Who
is.
says the vase has to be flat on the top? We could just
Jackal,
grind
Jack
it
in the
around.
Hook ones are not flat. Hey.
Yeah, we could grind it around, leave the arm there, and have it as a little posy in it.
Ed Creative said, could it be Laurel or Hardy? Rachel Bailey said Churchill. Robin
Now, I don't
John-
want to start any political arguments, but I would just argue that Churchill may have been a bit broader than that. It's got too much of a waist to him.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It'd look quite good, wouldn't it? Especially you would make a really good Halloween thing there, wouldn't it? With the top half missing and all the light glowing up through it.
It's definitely very stylized, even down to the buttons on the
Yeah,
back
keep
support.
it asymmetrical for the vase.
Nice though. And that was found literally after we'd switched off on our way back, walking home, weren't we?
Yeah.
When you spotted that one, you know, that was after the hunt was over virtually. And even down there where you can see, I don't know if you can see there, the depth on the pocket, the way the pocket is shaped so that it actually starts as part of the coat and then comes out as if it's a flap. Just for a terracotta model, got a lot of detail in there.
Just love it. When I saw it, I was like, oh, that's really, really, really a good find.
You don't know whether to call it detailed or naive because it seems like both at the same time. You know what I mean?
In a quality way, but
Yeah.
still, you say that.
Even the umbrella is really well shaped.
So, it would fit on my shelf because it hasn't got a head. Yeah, put it there.
You were going to say on my shelf because we haven't got a head. That's when you said shed. You put the two together. It's got a buttonhole in now. You haven't got a head, but you got a buttonhole.
Well,
There we go.
very good.
Now I've got a question relating to that.
Let's have a question.
How good is
then.
that? Am I good or what?
Oh, you are. So groovy night. He's got the moves.
Oh dear, here we go. Question. And the question is related to this find because I have used this find as an excuse to ask an umbrella question.
Mm.
The umbrella was invented over 4,000 years ago and used in ancient Egypt, Assyria, Greece, and China.
Mm.
But, here's the question, folks. How long ago was the collapsing umbrella invented?
Good
Not,
question.
listen now, not the telescopic, but umbrellas like this gentleman's is collapsed. And if it rains, he puts it up. Prior to a certain point, umbrellas were made solid. So they made the umbrellas to keep off the sun and the rain, but you couldn't actually collapse them. At what point in history could they first collapse an umbrella? Was it A, 2,500 years ago? B, 1,500 years ago? Or C, 500 years ago? What are you thinking, folks? How long ago do you think somebody decided having this thing around the place is a nuisance? If only we could put it down and then put it back up when we need it. And then he got in his shed, she got in her shed,
Yes.
and had a little potter and came up with the means and mechanism by which they could take a folded umbrella and open it up. That was done for the first time.
Get on a bus if they hadn't invented that. Or on a busy tube train.
I think
You want
you
these
had
giant things.
the advantage though that 500 years ago, which is the nearest, they wouldn't have been getting on buses.
No, mind you, it wouldn't be very good on a horse either, would it?
No. No.
The wind would have taken it. I'm
And
silly now.
they were owned by the rich back in the day. It was wealthy people had them. Did you know?
No?
Did you
Shock
know?
me.
Tutankhamun,
Hmm.
King Tutankhamun and his family
Get an umbrella?
enjoyed the privilege of having umbrellas.
Mm.
Huh?
Well.
Yes. Obviously, they didn't collapse because that was over 2,500 years ago.
Mm.
But they had umbrellas. Yes. And that is how they could enjoy spending time outdoors in the palace gardens without frying in the midday sun.
Weird umbrellas. They've got this new invention now. They're not taking off. But the umbrella, when you collapse it, instead of pulling it back towards your hand, you push it away, it goes down that way. So all the, I'm not sure what it's supposed to do. Something about the drip scale. But anyway, it just, when it's folded up, it goes from joined to the shaft to not joined to the shaft.
That's
dunno.
weird.
It's got like a
Very
handle
weird.
on it.
Right, let's have a look here. Let's see what people are thinking. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Who are we right?
Mm. And a random says a long time ago China had collapsible. Maybe 2,000 years. And what were the numbers you gave us again?
I've got A, 2,500,
Right, so
B, 1,500, C, 500.
ooh, that's a bit of information. So
So, let's
who
have
is
a
the
look.
winner?
Oh, well.
Well.
The first three answers all agree with each other,
Hmm.
but they're all wrong. I'm sorry, it was not 1,500 years, it was not B. But then Rick Sage comes along and decides he's got a plum for 2,500 years ago and took the gold podium.
Oh, well done, Mike.
It was 2,500 years ago, yes, indeed. So, who's the next correct answer? Lots and lots of people are going with 1,500.
But Rachel said, oh, well, I thought you said 4,500 years for A.
Well, 2,500 for A, 1,500 for B, and C was 500. I believe our second answer, please tell me if I'm making a mistake here, but I've got Mike Sage up there, and then all the way down here I've got Anne Goodwin.
Right.
And then down there,
Microphone there.
I've got P. Mitch. I don't think that's working anyway.
Oh, it may not be. So well done, Anne. Well done, P. Mitch.
And P. Mitch was immediately followed by Lise Warren, who had the correct answer as well.
Okay, Lise.
And Lisa Roberts down the bottom has said the correct answer too.
Oh, so not correct answer.
No, the vast majority were going for the 1,500. Few people was, Ed said the 20s. Lisa Roberts earlier said 1928. I think what you were thinking of was a telescopic umbrella or an automatic umbrella. But as I said, we were looking for the first umbrella to ever be able to go from rigid to be collapsed. And that was done, as you'd imagine, the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Chinese, they knew this stuff. And they would have come up with a solution to this problem, and they did.
But they're not as much fun as those ones you can press the button. They collapse into the short one, and then you're like, it's raining. And when you press your button, it goes.
Yeah. Now that, you see,
is fun.
that is telescopic.
Yeah, they're all great fun.
Because they collapse down.
And then they just explode.
Because I was going to make the question about those, except when you try tracing the origins and things in the history of those, there is dispute on exactly where, when, and who patented what. So it was easier to go back into ancient times. But there we go. So very well done to our three. It was Mike, it was Anne, and it was P. Mitch.
So now we're going to have your happy news. So on to the jingle again.
Ooh, jingle. Okay, folks, and the headline is homework project that took decades to complete.
Decades.
Homework project that took decades to complete.
Well, that wouldn't be any good for the GCSEs, then, would it? They wouldn't have their project done in time.
Indeed. In 1978, Patrick Moriarty was teaching his junior high science class about solar eclipses. When the class took a look which eclipses would pass over their hometown of Rochester, New York, Patrick said, "Hey, circle that one, April the 8th, 2024. We're going to get together for that." Laughing, the class carried on with the lesson, and every new group of 17-year-olds that came through his classroom got the same joke.
Yeah.
And he got the same reaction, as they simply laughed and carried on. But then in 2022, Patrick set up a Facebook group to track down some of his old charges and see if his promise meant as much to them as it did to him. But he didn't expect much 40 to 50 years on.
They were getting on by then. They were like our age.
I did
Well,
read in this
know
article that he had said to his class, "I'll put an ad in the paper just to remind you." By the time the world had moved on, he thought no one reads papers. But of course, they'd invented Facebook,
Yes,
social media, computers, it was all new. But the group soon circulated among former students, kept up connections, and hundreds expressed an interest in the event. So Patrick hired the local pizzeria to cater for the event and bought 130 pairs of eclipse glasses. Then the big day came, and students came from all over the country, with children, with life stories, and with 45 years of life experience to share with each other. In the hour before the eclipse, Patrick was back in class mode, teaching the variety of middle-aged students exactly as he had once done before the science behind an eclipse. Eventually, the moon passed over the sun, but even the spectacular stargazing event couldn't eclipse the incomprehensible moment shared between strangers who were nevertheless bound by an almost 50-year-old joke.
Mine is it, isn't it?
I thought,
Lovely to be there with all those people and all that heritage of 50 years of teaching.
well, as he said,
Pupils and
some because they had families, they brought their children, their grandchildren, because as Caroline said, they were 17, 50 years later, that puts them, well, 3 years older than me.
Yeah.
You know, so life had moved on, so much had happened, and he remembered because he said it in such a way that everybody just thought it was a laugh. But if he put out an advert in a paper, if technology hadn't moved on, he probably would have got 4, 5 who were still in the area and saw the local paper. But now, with the internet, it went nationwide, worldwide.
Because I would imagine most of the people had moved away for jobs and things like that.
And I just thought, with all the talk of eclipse in the chat yesterday, because of course it was visible to a number of our friends out in the States and different places, then I thought a bit of happy news. And I thought, what happy news? You know, you hear of these teachers who, like with the staff there, we said the police officers went the extra mile. You hear of teachers who just have that bit extra. They don't just work 9 till 5. They don't just teach what's on the curriculum, but they really do have something about them. There was a teacher in my young life who I thought was that bit different to all the others. And I get the feeling this guy was. And I'm sure all of his students must have agreed. Because to think 50 years on, to throw a party because he'd said something in class in the 1970s. And I thought, there we go, bit of happy news, cheer everybody up. Especially if it was a cloudy day and you missed the eclipse.
Or you lived in the UK and didn't get to see it.
No, you had to be in Scotland and it was, I think they lost 20-something% of the light in parts of
All right,
Scotland.
it's a little bit.
Yeah, it was partial darkness, you know, it had an impact over here. But in New York, of course, they had a full flash.
We need another question because time is moving on. You ready?
I'm always ready.
That was quick. I've done that.
Right. Caroline quite often finds bits of shoes and boots and is always fascinated by the sizes and who wore them. On this occasion, you found some leather of a boot, didn't it? And on one occasion, you're in Wales, Caroline found a lovely Victorian boot, which I think you used to make a piece of craft, didn't you? You put lace around it now. That was a Victorian child's boot. So I just want to ask you a footwear related question.
Mm.
But I want to bring you right up to date to the figures, the statistics
Oh, we go for statistics now.
Statistics
This is getting technical.
for the world consumption of shoes, not as you eat them,
I'm going to say they
but-
looked a bit tough.
yeah, but at the end of 2022.
Right.
Because by the end of 2022, a total of 21.9 billion pairs of shoes were sold around the world.
Shoes.
21.9 billion. Over half of those were sold in 6 countries.
Right.
6 countries had 50 point something percent, and the rest of the world shared the other half. The top 3 of those 6 countries, number 1 was China,
Right.
number 2 was the United States, and number 3 was India.
Right. They were quite big populations, so figures.
My next, all I want to know from you is, of the other 3 in that top 6, which of these 3 countries is in that list? So only one of these 3 comes in the top 6. You've got the
There you
top
go.
3, then another 3 in the top 6 that take up half. One of these countries are in there. You think the country that joins those 3 in the top 6 is A, Italy, B, France, or C, Japan?
Go. Right, while you're all bringing your answers in, we got, let's have a look, put my glasses on. Donna Maxine Yan said, I took my 89-year-old mother out to have a peek at the eclipse without safety glasses. Wow. I bet that was fun watching it with your mum like that. We had a partial eclipse years ago and we watched it with our children up the garden and they still remember it now. And we were looking at it we had a pond and we were looking at it in the pond because you couldn't look at it directly. We didn't have any glasses, so yep, we looked in the pond. It was fun.
And I was saying yesterday, because people were commenting on how animals go quiet and everything,
Mhm.
and we noticed that.
Yeah, the birds stopped singing. They
And
got to
we-
bed.
The birds just went silent. It got eerily sort of semi-dark, and then the temperature dropped.
Mm.
It really did. You could feel the temperature going down and down and down. You could just feel it dropping until the sun came back out because we'd lost that immediate impact of the sun coming through. It was-
I often imagine a bird thinking, it's getting dark, flying all the way home, looking down his head in his nest, and they go, again? They get really frustrated. They have no idea what's going on, I don't suppose. They just completely governed by the light and dark.
Okay, folks. Well,
Right.
I can tell
You
you.
winner?
Yeah, we have indeed. I can tell you that the next 3 in the list that make up the 6 are Brazil, Indonesia, and Japan.
Ooh, no, I wouldn't have thought that. I always imagine Japan's got a lower population, and you don't think of them as being really sort of
Maybe they've got.
15 pairs of shoes each.
No, maybe they have. Maybe they got big spending power. But
Okay.
Japan is on that side of the line,
That link myself.
and the whole of Europe is on the other side of the line. With all the shoes we buy, we don't buy enough to catch up. So we're looking for C, which means it's Ed Creative, Mike Sage, and Rachel Bailey all in a row for the second and third.
Well done.
And there we go. So we got Ed, we got Mike, and we got Rachel.
Oh, that's interesting. Karen said we have light all night in summer, and that is weird because it is silent of birds. So they still go to bed at night. They know it's night time.
Probably just get tired.
Because they just, I'm going to go to bed. A bit like we have an afternoon nap. They think, I don't care what time it is, I'm going to sleep.
I suppose the birds have adjusted just like the people,
Yeah,
and
but
they
they've
figured
got
it
to.
out.
They couldn't stay awake forever, could they? So.
Have you got any finds to show yet? You were thinking we should have a couple more finds.
I'm going to show you. I've got this, this would have been so nice. Look at that. It's really pretty. It reminds me of the thing you put in an oil lamp. It
Yeah,
obviously
yes.
isn't, but it's got that look
I
to
think
it.
it was modelled
And
on it.
on the bottom it says Royal China Works Worcester and Geoco established 1801. So I'll show you that. May or may not be able to focus on it. Come on, you can do it. Hey, there we go. G and Co established 1801. So that I thought was lovely. It's a gorgeous porcelain, really nice feel to it. But you can just see one of the complete daisies there. So can you imagine what that looked like? And what it went in? I think it must have gone in something else. I don't think it would
Yeah.
have been a standalone item.
No, no.
So it would have been stunning. And
That or
also,
something.
a little Japanese bowl. Look at this, a little tea bowl. I love it. It's hand painted. And you can see there's a deep, this rim here on and the older ones generally have a deeper rim. The deeper the rim, I think it's the deeper the rim, the older it is, but definitely older ones do have a deeper rim than the modern ones. The only thing is you've got this little chip there, and there are some cracks as well, so it's not the only thing really. And there's some marks, but I love it. Imagine some lady in her kimono dressed up drinking her tea from this.
Indeed.
So I think it's lovely. Even though it's probably a bit of tourism, somebody brought it back from Japan, probably in the 20s, something like that. Possibly. They picked it up from an old place. It could have been somebody from Japan moving over here and brought their tea set that they had from their great grandmother, and it's really, really old.
But it's very nice and very
I know,
fine.
I've got a terrible imagination.
Very fine.
It is really nice, and I love the fact it's hand painted. So somebody, you wouldn't just run off in the factory, somebody sat down and painted that from their own. I know they always do the same patterns, but somebody's handiwork, somebody's personality in that.
And it's not the usual culprit of blue and white or something like that, you know, something a bit different. If you put up the question one again, I've got a question related to that.
We got more question time. Just to let you know, that night is actually Phil dressed up and he's him dancing.
Okay. Teacups didn't get handles until the late 19th century. About 200 years after tea drinking became extremely popular in Britain with the arrival of a princess. A princess arrived in Britain and said, "I would like a dish of tea," which shocked everyone because they had a glass of ale waiting for her, because we didn't drink tea.
No.
But where she came from, they did. My question is, where did the princess come from? Was it A, India, B, China, or C, Portugal?
Go.
Where do you think the princess came from?
That night has more joint mobility than I have. Me too. If I try doing that, you just hear all this creaking and crunching. Right, some answers are coming in. Ooh, got a couple of E's, couple of A's, we've got a C, couple of C's. Oh, we've got a bit of everything, so don't worry, there will be somebody on every podium. We're going to be okay. Right, interesting. But who's got it
Right. Right then. Now, I did think that people may catch me out here, but I've managed to catch a few out. I went with India and China because I felt, were the sort of places people would think somebody would drink tea. But I can tell you that in the 17th century, tea was also a delicacy in Portugal.
There we go.
And Princess Catherine of Braganza was brought over to marry King Charles II, and it was Princess Catherine's request for tea that alerted all of the gentry to the fact the Queen will be drinking tea. We must drink tea. So they copied the Queen, and then middle-class people copied the upper-class people, and as is always the way, we workers get there in the end. And we're probably consuming more of it now than the royalty do.
Even in the UK now, there's a lot of coffee drinkers. There never used to
It
be.
is, but there's still a fair bit of coffee, tea being drunk around the place. The older generation, I think, still consuming it. But yeah, it was Princess Catherine, came from Portugal on a boat to marry King Charles II, who was the first person to say, like, a dish of tea she asked for, because obviously they didn't have cups. And just to vindicate Compo of Last of the Summer Wine, who invariably, when drinking a cup of tea on the show, we dip it in the saucer and then slurp it out. That's what the saucer was invented for.
And that's what my grandchild always did.
The original purpose of the saucer when they created it was so that you could take your cup and almost use it as a jug to pour it in so that it would cool.
Yeah, that's why I didn't know that cooling it was the original idea, but I know my
Yeah.
grandchild always used to pour it in his
So they would,
saucer, give it a good blow, and then slurp it down.
that was the then of course it became somewhere to catch any spills, then it became somewhere to put your spoon.
And
because
now they've extended them
we-
to somewhere to put your biscuits.
But you never needed a spoon until we started adding cream and sugar and milk and other things and lemon and all the rest. So yeah, it all began that way. But it was Castro from Portugal.
There we go.
So I've got 2 finds to show before that all important question.
Right, got to speed up.
Number 1,
Time's getting on.
this one, which still makes a pop.
I love that.
There we go. So that was a nice find with the cork still in the top. I was very pleased with that one. So that came home. Even though I've got several like this, that one just ticked enough boxes to get back in the bag. And finally, we were talking about Caroline's broken man with the umbrella and what we could do with it. Well, this, I felt, instantly said, stick it in the garden and put a plant in it. Because that is all, it's no good for its original purpose, which, as you can see from the label, was to hold a food product.
Viral.
Probably viral, yeah, because we're going to V in and out. But now, just lie it down, and we've got one of those like they sell in the garden centre, isn't it?
Yep.
See? Perfect.
Like an Italian urn.
Yeah, perfect little Italian urn to go in the garden. And that just makes it that little bit more interesting.
That Rachel said you haven't said the platforms. You didn't say who was first, second, and third.
Didn't I?
Look at me, I can never
Did we?
remember. Well, why have we gone all focus?
That's because I just put that up there.
There we go.
So I said the answer and I didn't say who was first, second, third. So sorry. I am so sorry. So
We'll
we'll
stop.
So actually, we're looking for C. So we've got to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Laura Surrey's Creations got C.
Well done, Laura.
Rachel Bailey got C.
Well done, Rachel.
And Lise Warren got C.
Well done, Lise.
I am so sorry for that. I got so carried away with my answer and forgot to tell you who got it right. Well done. But a chance for everyone now to join in the argument.
No.
As we come to that last question of the night, it's time to go. It's 9 o'clock by that clock, which means it's 10
You
o'clock.
haven't put the clock right.
Right, are we going to have a jingle? In how many different places during this week's video did you spot Mankey? Was it A, 2, B, 3, or C?
No. Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, the answers are coming in. Oh, Anne said about that bottle of yours, it's a corker. Oh, very good, very good. Ed was saying his. Whoa. It's all running away from me. Ed said his step-grandfather used the saucer, but his actual grandfather drank tea from the teapot spout. Tea leaves with it too. Oh, I hated that when I was little, they put the tea leaves in the pot and strain it, and you always had bits of tea leaf. You get to the bottom of your cup, and there was all these little. Oh, never like that at all. And that's why I think we always used to leave a bit in the bottom of our cup. Always. I grew up, and everybody I knew left a bit in the bottom of their cup. But then, well after we changed to tea bags, when you didn't get any bits, people were still leaving a bit in the bottom of their cup. Because I don't know. I love my tea. If I'm drinking tea, it's all gone. Every last drop.
Thing is, we tend to drink fruit teas and green teas and
If I'm drinking tea,
Yeah.
tea with milk in, I'll still drink it all. Same with coffee. I wouldn't think of leaving a bit in the bottom. So I think, right, what do you reckon? Is that where it came from?
right, here we go. The answers are in, and I think it's definitive because 95% of people agree with me,
Well,
including the man I thought was going to cause trouble tonight.
was Steve saying 2 times in 2 places? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, 2 times in 2 places because
And he's usually
Mankey appeared before and after the coming up, but in the same place. He was in the tree behind me. He was also showing off his bottles. So we saw him as we approached with the music, and then we saw him when we showed the bottles, but he was still with the bottles. So it is more than 2 occasions he appeared, but on each of those occasions he was only in 2 places. And I was a bit concerned because Ed put a comment up yesterday at the end of the show. I saw Monkey 3 times. And then he goes 2. So he was obviously winding me up and just giving me a sleepless night. I spent all night searching for that third monkey and it wasn't there then. So, top of the tree, first correct answer in with 2 with Dan Fetters.
Well done, Dan.
Second answer with 2 is Jason. Jason
Well done,
S.
Jason.
And
Third.
third answer is Faraway Portal.
Well done, Faraway Portal.
There we go. I was just checking because some people have got B and the B's look like 2s in my eyesight. But of course B was 3 on this occasion. Because it was 2, 3 or 4 and 2 was the correct answer. So well done to everyone. It's been chaos. The technical problems have been numerous.
With us.
But there are 42 of you that have lasted the hour. Thank you for the thumbs up.
Oh,
Thank you for all the comments.
People's thumbs up. It's just YouTube things. People do enjoy it, so we'll show it to more people. So it really does help us out.
We do appreciate it all. And we will have a video out next Friday and we will join you there in the chat. And I am going to try and catch up on the comments, which means I've got a month's comments to go through, but I'm going to get on with that, I'm sure, in the next couple of days. So you'll all be hearing from me soon.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you all next time, but until then, don't forget.
Have fun. Bye.